Hello everyone, this is EmSeeSquared.
And this is the Otaku Jock.
We're a little bit late on this one because we meant to do this last week actually. This is our response review to The Phantom Menace in 3D.
We meant to do this last week, but we had some scheduling difficulties, and we didn't get out to see the movie until sometime this week. And really, the only time that we really had to sit down and review it and really kind of respond to it is now.
Exactly.
But better late than never.
Better late than never, I was just going to say. Now, a lot of you are probably sitting there saying, why are you even bothering with this? The movie sucks! No. We all know what the movie is like. This isn't about whether the movie is good or bad. We're just talking about our experience seeing it in 3D and whether it is worth it.
I honestly think that after having seen this, I think that this is going to be a worthwhile series that Lucasfilm is doing. I was very skeptical at first of whether or not 3D for Star Wars could actually work, but I will admit when the opening crawl came on, I was honestly very surprised at how well it looked in 3D. And the entire movie, I think, on a whole, looked very well in 3D. It certainly looked a lot better than I think Harry Potter looked in 3D. What would you say?
Well, we only
the
saw
seventh one.
The eighth one. The eighth one, yeah.
Part 2, I should say.
Yeah, that looked very blurry when we saw it. But to be fair, our showing of this movie, episode 1, was kind of out of focus. I blame the projectionist.
I would agree
because
with that.
Throughout all the trailers and stuff we got, if ever there was any text on the screen, it was very double image.
It was. Like when there were translations and everything.
And we were wearing our glasses. Thank you very much.
We were.
But yeah, that was my only gripe about it. But it wasn't towards the film itself, but towards the projection.
It was more the experience of seeing the movie by itself. But overall, that's honestly kind of a small nitpick that we can have. But the bottom line is that we were just going in there wondering, is this a worthwhile experience of going to the movie that we've already seen about a good few dozen times, that we've already got on DVD, just to see what is presumably just a 3D conversion. I honestly think that the 3D is going to help it. I really think that it's going to get even better, especially especially I think when episodes 2 and 3 come out, because I think those will benefit the most from a 3D conversion.
Probably more so episode 3. And once we get into number 4 and beyond, oh yeah.
Wasn't like one of the first test cases of 3D technology the trench run? I know I've heard that somewhere.
I'm not sure I've heard the same thing.
I could have sworn I've heard that.
Another thing that really disappointed us in our experience, we insisted on seeing it at our local big screen theater, the Uptown Theater in Washington, D.C. This is a big, classy theater. They always have one movie at a time there. The screen is like as big as a wall. It's a curtain covers it. There are balcony seats. This is where my parents saw the original trilogy.
It's essentially like an old-fashioned theater, only the screen about the size of the screen, I'd say, is probably a step below IMAX.
Right. It's not a high-def thing, but it's very classy. And if anybody lives in the DC area or is new to the DC area, I highly recommend seeing a big blockbuster film here. But what disappointed me was that when we went to see it Wednesday night, what was the date?
It was, I believe, the 17th? No, it was the 15th, because it was the day after Valentine's Day.
Okay, 15th, February 15th. We went to see it at this big classy theater, and when we got there, we were the only ones there.
And even when the movie started, there were probably, I would say, maybe only a handful more people that were there.
There was a family with lightsabers, but for so little a turnout for even the weakest of Star Wars films, shame on you people.
I'm honestly kind of a little disappointed that you would rather go see, say, something like The Vow with Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams over this. And not a slight against both of those guys. I actually kind of think Channing Tatum is, he's not great, but I certainly don't think he's a terrible actor. And I do like Rachel McAdams. I really enjoyed her in the first Sherlock Holmes movie. But come on, people, this is Star Wars, for heaven's sake.
I mean, even if it's the weakest film, it's still an experience. And even though we were the only ones, close to the only ones in there, I'm sitting there watching the film, and given the fact that it's been years since I've seen it in the theater, and that I've seen it many, many times on DVD, yes, I was a little underwhelmed at this story, but I got to feeling like this was what George Lucas had conceived Star Wars as, just like a Saturday matinee B movie. And, it's a movie that back in the old days, it's just like, well, what do you want to go see? Oh, let's go see the new science fiction movie. You don't care if it's a great movie or not, with a great compelling story. You just want to sit and watch an exciting movie, and that's what that experience was. In fact, I think that's what Episode 1 is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a masterpiece. It's just supposed to be, a sci-fi movie.
I honestly think that, and I probably did mention this in our first video, but I think it is worth mentioning again here. And if I hadn't mentioned it, I'm gonna bring this up now. The one thing that we have to remember about the original trilogy, and especially the first Star Wars film by itself, there was an absolute clean slate. This universe did not exist until that movie came out in 1977. Here it is, 1999, when Episode 1 comes out. There's been video games, novels. You've had the other two movies out for so long that you have the universe essentially now almost completely created. Now you're just essentially setting another movie within that universe and really just telling a story within that universe.
In a timeline that hadn't really been covered.
Exactly.
And it's really... I stand by again that Episode 1 is really just a starting point, because, I think it can be agreed that Episode 3 is by far the best of the prequels. Some critics even say best of the series, but that's up for debate.
That's up for debate. I still think maybe the original Empire would be the best of the series.
But if one starts on Episode 3, you're confused on the backstory. It's like, well, why are these two so in love? And wait, so what's his relationship with this chancellor? Wait, what's going on? What is this locket that he gave her? But so you watch Episode 2 to get the backstory on that,
and then you wind up even being more confused.
It's like, well, who is this boy? The chosen one? What?
I mean, the whole point is that it's really something that you have to. It's really something that you have to give it time, and I think that was what Lucas had really intended. He was wanting to ramp up to the finale of this prequel trilogy, and that I think is why I think Episode 3 is so strong of a movie.
By opinion, but it's not in stone, but it depends on.
Well, I honestly think it's definitely the strongest of the three prequels.
As do I.
Honestly, I think it brings the complete merit. It brings everything in the prequel trilogy full circle. It completely completes that portion of the story and leads perfectly into Episode 4.
Exactly. A lot of people have been criticizing the whole, Lucas, is just wanting to cash in, make more money, get in on the 3D craze.
And let's also be fair, they have even advertised saying that this is at 2D theaters. They do 2D screenings as well. So just saying that this is just 3D, I think is overstating things.
It's over. And I was not fond of Angry Joe's rant on the whole matter a couple years ago, because I cannot stand it when some know-it-all tries to tell a filmmaker how to do their job, and a little jab at him. We only paid $11 for each for our tickets, so his prediction of it costing $15 he can stick that up his ass.
Well, at the same time, by the time that to be realistic, I think by the time that Episode 6 does come out, I'm pretty sure it will cost about that much.
Well, he said by the time these movies come out.
Well, that's an interesting little caveat. So he's not entirely wrong, but I think even so, I think that his overall reaction to that, I mean, I still find him funny enough that I can kind of say, you know what, that's your opinion, man. I honestly am excited for this because, you know, who doesn't want Star Wars on movie theaters again? I mean, let's face facts. I mean, look at all the stuff that is out right now, with a few exceptions. I mean, wouldn't you want to bring something classic back? And here's a good question. I mean, we hear all this hemming and hawing about Star Wars in 3D. You know, where's all the hemming and hawing for Titanic in 3D? I mean, come on. Where's the criticism towards James Cameron for doing the exact same thing that George Lucas is doing? I haven't heard a word.
Where's the jabs at Lion King and Beauty and the Beast?
Where are the jabs at Disney for re-releasing those movies?
Finding Nemo.
They don't exist. It's just Lucas that gets this criticism, and I honestly
and they're only doing it, but they're only doing it with whining because it's Star Wars, and because he's going chronologically. That's the only reason people are complaining.
Honestly, folks, okay, Episode 1, you can definitely take it or leave it, and you know what my opinion is. I honestly think the prequel trilogies, they're a real good set of movies. And there are a few things I definitely would change. Like, I've honestly said, I'm not a fan of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker at all.
But I'd like to reiterate from our last video that the prequels do have a fan base. There is fan fiction and fan art and cosplayers all over the place.
And I honestly don't blame it because, honestly, we were begging for more stuff to expand the universe, and then we got this.
And people just complained because it wasn't what they wanted.
Exactly. And overall, though, I think that, you know, you look at Star Wars, and I think overall, you can take or leave the prequels as is, but I think that when it all comes down at the end of the day, it's a fun series to watch. And and as I said in the last video, I'm tired of having to defend myself to these Star Wars fanboys. Just let me enjoy the damn movies.
I mean, Lucas is, you know, trying to step down from doing big blockbusters now because of you people complaining and shouting at him and calling him a dick and... You have driven that down. You people that have been complaining.
It is unfortunate, and it's just unfortunate that people just can't take the 5 seconds to look at themselves and say, you know, maybe I'm overstating things. Maybe I need to look at a bigger picture. That's what I think that these prequels are. They provide a much bigger picture into the Star Wars universe than the 3 movies that were made from 77 to 83 ever did.
Very much.
Just overall, though, again, to just sum up our thoughts, we think that the Phantom Menace, even though it was the weakest, we think that the 3D conversion was worth it. We cannot wait for Episode 2 to hit the 3D theaters next year.
And can't wait even further for 3 through 6.
So I think that about sums it up. Thank you very much for your time.
This is EmSeeSquared.
And the Otaku Jock. Please subscribe. Please review our videos. Please spread the word for us.
No insults, please. No flame wars. We don't like that.
Let's have some civil debate, people. I think that we can both agree there's too much hatred on YouTube. We definitely don't want to be a part of that. Thank you so much for watching.
May the Force be with you.
And good night.